Hi, Cules. Hold on tight to your armchair, because what's happening at Camp Nou is one of those moments that makes you jump off the couch, spill your coffee, and scream at the screen as if you were Hansi Flick in a match against Madrid. The transfer market, which seemed more locked up than a Swiss vault, has just exploded with news that nobody, and I mean nobody, saw coming. Deco, our sporting director with a nose sharper than a bloodhound in a spice market, has just pulled a recruitment out of his hat so unexpected that even the stadium pigeons are in shock. Ready for the thunderbolt? Let's go. We're in the summer of 2025, and FC Barcelona has been navigating the transfer market like a ninja for a few weeks now. Everyone thought that with the financial constraints and financial fair play squeezing tighter than an 18th century corset, the club would close the market with the bare minimum. 1 or 2 reinforcements, a clever loan, and not much more. But no, my friends, Deco doesn't settle for the predictable. This man, who negotiates with the calm of a Buddhist monk and the precision of a sniper, has just pulled off a masterstroke that leaves Barça fans between euphoria and disbelief. The protagonist, Eta Young, a Villarreal striker who, listen up, is making recruiters across Europe tear their hair out. Yes, you read that right, Eta Young, a name that, just 2 days ago, sounded more like a second-division promise than a future Barça star. Let's put things into context a bit, because this isn't just a magic trick. Barca's transfer market this summer has been like preparing a paella with whatever's left in the fridge. Complicated, but with talent, miracles can happen. Deco, who had already proven his vision with the recruitment of Dani Olmo last year, has been working behind the scenes, pulling the strings like a true Sergi Barjuan puppeteer. And just when the club seemed to have closed the curtain after the arrivals of Joan Garcia and the return of Joao Cancelo, Deco still had an ace up his sleeve. The operation for Eta Young is one of those that makes you wonder how the hell he did it. 10 million euros for a striker who's setting La Liga on fire. It's like finding a Picasso at a flea market for the price of a coffee. Eta Young, for those still trying to pronounce his name without stumbling, is a Cameroonian striker who burst onto the scene at Villarreal like an elephant in a china shop. Young, fast, with a goal-scoring instinct that recalls the best days of Samuel Eto'o. Yes, I said it, and I'm not taking it back. And a release clause that, for a club like Barça, is more tempting than a plate of freshly baked croquettes. According to sources close to the club, Deco learned that several teams, including Betis, were circling this rough diamond. And of course, our sporting director isn't the type to sit idly by while someone else takes the prize. So, with the precision of a surgeon, he activated the operation, pay the 10 million euros for the clause and, here's the twist, immediately loan him to Betis so he can continue to sharpen his skills in La Liga. Strategy or genius? I'd say a bit of both. Imagine the scene in the Camp Nou offices. Deco, impeccable, with that unflappable Portuguese calm, sitting across from Joan Laporta, who is probably bouncing like a kid on an inflatable castle. President, we've got him, Deco tells him, while Laporta rubs his hands together as if he's about to open a Christmas present. And it's not for nothing. Eta Young isn't just a signing, he's a statement of intent. It's Barça saying, we're still here, we're still great, and we're aiming for it all. Because let's be honest, in a transfer market where the big European clubs are spending like there's no tomorrow, Barça has found a way to pull off a masterstroke without selling the stadium. But wait, that's not all. This signing isn't just an operation for the present, but a bet on the future. Eta Young, at just 21 years old, has the kind of profile that can Barça loves. Young, hungry, with the potential to become the next fan idol. Picture this guy with his devilish speed and killer instinct in front of goal, combined with LAMINE YAMAL on the right and GAVI delivering crosses from midfield. Can you imagine it? Because I can already hear the Camp Nou roaring like in the good old days. And if you're already freaking out about this, subscribe to the channel, because what's coming next is even stronger, because believe me, at Barça, there's always something brewing. Let's talk more about Eta Young, because this guy deserves his moment in the spotlight. Born in Cameroon, he almost slipped unnoticed into Villarreal's youth ranks, as if it were nothing, but on the pitch, it's impossible to overlook such talent. At the start of the 2025-26 La Liga season, Young has been one of the revelations, scoring goals with an ease that makes football look as simple as breathing. His style is a mix of physical power, sharp technique, and that spark only the greats possess. It's no surprise that Deco, who has an eye for talent like few others, decided to bet on him. And listen up, it's not just Barcelona who wanted him. Betis, as we mentioned, were ready to do anything to get him but didn't have the financial means to close the deal. That's where Barcelona stepped in, Like that friend who shows up at the restaurant with a credit card when everyone else is counting their coins. The operation, however, has its nuances. Even though Barcelona paid his release clause, the idea isn't for Young to pull on the Blaugrana jersey tomorrow morning. No. Deco is smarter than that. The plan is to loan him to Betis, where he can continue to grow, rack up minutes, and prove he's not just a flash in the pan. This strategy is pure Barcelona. Invest in young talent, let them develop in a competitive environment, and then bring them back to Camp Nou when they're ready to shine. It's like leaving a good wine in the cellar. You know that with time, it'll be a delight. Meanwhile, Betis, who have an excellent relationship with Barcelona, get a player who can make a difference this season. But not everything is so simple, Kules. The signing of Young has sparked all kinds of reactions. On social media, fans are divided between those already embroidering his name on their jerseys and those wondering who this guy even is. Deco, isn't that a yogurt brand? Jokes one user on Twitter. But beyond the jokes, there's a general sense of optimism, because even if the name Young doesn't have the glamour of an Mbappe or a Haaland, Barcelona has proven time and again that the greatest idols don't always arrive with flashing neon signs. Does anyone remember when a certain Lionel Messi was just a skinny kid from La Masia? Exactly. On the other hand, this move also puts the spotlight on Deco. The Portuguese director, who arrived at the job with more doubts than certainties, is silencing the critics with bold decisions. Not only did he bring in Young, but he also managed the return of João Cancelo, finalized the sale of Inigo Martinez to Saudi Arabia, and is working on bringing in a top-level centre-back for 2026. All while managing the club's economic constraints, which are like trying to build a skyscraper with a garden shed budget. Deco is proving he doesn't just understand football, but strategy too. It's like he's playing chess while the rest of the world is playing checkers. And speaking of strategy, let's talk about how Young fits into Hansi Flick's project. The German coach has made it clear he wants a Barcelona that's intense, vertical, and hungry. He must be rubbing his hands together with this signing. Flick, who knows young players well from his time at Bayern, knows that a striker like Young could be the perfect complement to a team that already includes names like LAMINE, YAMAL, GAVI, PEDRI, and the new arrival Marcus Rashford. Yes, that Rashford, the one who appeared in Barcelona's lineups in a recent tweet. The idea is clear. Build a young, dynamic team with a bright future, but one that can also compete right now. And Young, with his ability to break down defenses and his killer instinct in front of goal, fits like a glove. But let's not fool ourselves, Kules, because not everything is a bed of roses. The signing of Young also raises questions. What happens to Robert Lewandowski, who is still the box poacher but is no longer a young man? And what about Ansu Fati, who seems more out than in at the club? Deco has a complicated puzzle to solve, and every piece he moves creates a domino effect. For example, loaning Young to Betis could pave the way for Ansu Fati's departure to Monaco in a deal that might also involve Brazilian fullback Van der Sar. Yes, I know, it sounds like a game of risk, but that's how the transfer market works. Everything is connected, and Deco seems to be managing the strings with surgical precision. Meanwhile, in the locker room, the players are also weighing in. According to rumors, heavyweights like Gabi and Araujo are excited about the idea of Young's arrival. He's a guy who never stops, who gives everything, Gabi reportedly said during training, according to sources close to the club. And it's no wonder. Young doesn't just bring talent, he brings that grit that Barca fans love so much. He's the kind of player who never gives up, who fights for every ball as if it's his last. And in a team that wants to rediscover its identity of fight and passion, that's pure gold. Let me have a moment of nostalgia, because this signing, even if it doesn't seem obvious at first glance, has something of that magic that has always characterized Barcelona. It's the club that bets on the unexpected, that finds gems where others only see stones. It's the club that turned Ronaldinho into a god, Iniesta into a genius, and Messi into, well, Messi. Young may not be one of them yet, but he has that potential that makes you dream. And if the Kules know how to do one thing, it's dream. Dream of magical nights at Camp Nou, of epic comebacks, of goals that shake the stadium's foundations. Of course, not everyone is convinced. On debate shows, some are already saying that Barcelona is taking too many risks with an unknown player. 10 million for a guy who's only had 2 days in the top flight, some complain. But since when has Barcelona been a club that plays it safe? This is the team that recruited a Cruyff to revolutionize Dutch football, that bet on a Pep Guardiola who had almost no experience as a coach. Risk is part of the Barça DNA, and Deco knows it. This signing is a gamble, yes, but a calculated one. And if it works, we'll be talking about Eta Young as the next great idol of Barça. Meanwhile, at Villarreal, the news has hit like a bomb. The Yellow Submarines fans are torn between sadness and pride. On one hand, they're losing one of their brightest prospects. On the other, they know that Barcelona's interest in one of their own is recognition of the good work done by their academy. And let's not forget that the 10 million from his release clause is no small sum for a club like Villarreal. With that money, they're probably already scouting the next Eta Young in some corner of the world. Let's return to Barcelona. This signing also has implications beyond the pitch, because even if it's not immediately obvious, the transfer market is like a hall of mirrors. Every move reflects something bigger. The arrival of Young is a sign that the club is looking to the future, but also that it refuses to be just a bystander in the market. Deco is sending a clear message to rivals. Barça is not finished, it's not a club in decline. It's a team that, even with its hands tied financially, finds a way to surprise. And that, Queules, is something to be proud of. So, what can we expect from Eta Young in the future? If everything goes as planned, we'll see him shine at Betis this season, gaining minutes and experience in a league as demanding as La Liga. Then, when he returns to Barça, he'll be ready to fight for a place in Flick's starting 11. And who knows, maybe in a few years, we'll be talking about him as the new reference for Barca's attack, the striker who strikes fear into opposing defenses. Because if Barça has proven one thing throughout its history, it's that dreams, when worked on properly, become reality. In short, Queules, the recruitment of Eta Young is more than just a transfer operation. It's a symbol of what Barça wants to be, a club that doesn't give up, that finds solutions where others see problems, that bets on the future without forgetting the present. Deco has taken a step forward, and now it's up to Young to prove he's up to the task. In the meantime, we, the Queules, will keep dreaming, shouting, and celebrating every goal as if it were the first. Because being part of Barça means living with passion, believing in the impossible, and, above all, never losing our enthusiasm. Let this passion guide us as we delve deeper into Eta Young's origins, because understanding where this young talent comes from helps us appreciate Deco's vision in betting on him even more. Born in Douala, Cameroon, in 2003, Young grew up in an environment where football is much more than a sport, it's an escape and a promise of a better future. From a young age, he showed a natural gift for the game, standing out at the Galactique Football School, a local academy that has served as a springboard for several African players. It was there that Cadiz scouts discovered him in 2022, when he was just 19, and decided to bring him to Spain, a country that has become the cradle of emerging talent from the African continent. His arrival wasn't easy. Adapting to a new language, culture, and a much more tactical and demanding style of football required not just talent, but resilience. Young had plenty of both. At Cadiz B, competing in the second division, Young began to forge his reputation as a formidable striker. It wasn't just about scoring goals, but how he scored them, with a combination of physical power that allowed him to win aerial duels against more experienced defenders and speed that made him unstoppable in fast transitions. Young became the offensive reference for the team. His statistics speak for themselves. In his first full season, he scored 14 goals in 28 matches, demonstrating an efficiency that caught the attention of bigger clubs. But what really impressed was his versatility. He doesn't just wait in the box. He drops back to receive the ball, participates in build-up play, and knows how to link up with midfielders. This kind of striker, in a system like Hansi Flick's, could fit perfectly, bringing freshness and tactical variety. His breakthrough into professional football came on January 19, 2024, when he made his debut with Cadiz's first team against Osasuna at Mendizorroza. Though it was a tough match, Young came on as a substitute and showed glimpses of his potential. Intelligent runs and a shot that forced the goalkeeper to make a spectacular save. This debut marked the beginning of an upward trajectory that led him, in August 2024, to Villarreal. The Yellow Submarine paid a modest fee for him, recognizing the potential that Cadiz had honed. At Villarreal B, in the Primera RFEF, Young truly exploded, 19 goals in 30 matches, nearly a goal every 2 games. His performances didn't go unnoticed by Marcelino Garcia Torral, the first-team coach, who promoted him in April 2025. In just 5 La Liga appearances, Young scored 2 goals, including a crucial one against Girona that helped Villarreal qualify for the Champions League. These minutes in the top flight confirmed what many had already suspected. This guy isn't just another prospect, he's a diamond who shines under pressure. What makes this operation even more appealing for Barça is the price of his release clause. €5 million, a bargain in today's inflated market. Deco, with his experience as both a player and now a sporting director, knows that opportunities like this don't come along every day. In a summer where the club has had to navigate financial constraints, paying €5 million for a player with international potential is a smart investment, not an impulsive expense. And the plan couldn't be more clever. Once the clause is paid, Young won't immediately join the first team, where competition in attack is fierce with names like Lewandowski, Ferran Torres, and the newly integrated Marcus Rashford. Instead, Barça has negotiated a preliminary agreement with Real Betis to loan him for the season. This loan isn't a fallback option, it's a well-thought-out strategy to maximize the player's development. At Betis, under the guidance of Manuel Pellegrini, Young will find an ideal environment to grow. Pellegrini, a coach with a long career in Spanish and European football, has given his explicit approval for the operation, aware that his squad needs more attacking options. The Chilean is a master at integrating young talent, giving them minutes without exposing them to maximum pressure too soon. Young could alternate between playing as a pure number 9 and more wide roles, learning from experienced strikers and participating in European competitions, as Betis is qualified for the Europa Conference League. For Barça, this means Young will return in the summer of 2026 with a full season of top-flight experience under his belt, ready to compete for a place in Flick's starting 11 or, in the worst case, for another loan to continue his development. It's a win-win. Betis gets a reinforcement at zero transfer cost, Young gains vital minutes, and Barça secures a future asset without disrupting the current balance of the team. This move also reflects the network of contacts Deco has built within Spanish football. A former player for Barça and Porto, Deco knows the Liga ecosystem well and has cultivated relationships with clubs like Villarreal and Betis. While Villarreal may lose one of the gems from their youth academy, they receive €5 million that can be reinvested into their structure. And let's not forget that Cadiz, as the club that initially developed him, will receive a percentage of the sale due to a previous agreement, which complicates but enriches the negotiation. Deco has navigated these waters with mastery, ensuring everyone comes out a winner. It's this diplomacy that sets him apart from other sporting directors. He doesn't just see talent, he builds bridges to bring it home. But let's go beyond the numbers and strategies. What's truly exciting about Young is his profile as a footballer. At 21 years old, he stands at 1.85 meters and weighs around 80 kilograms, giving him an imposing physical presence without sacrificing agility. His speed in open spaces is comparable to that of forwards like Vinicius Jr., but with better control in the box. In his matches with Villarreal, he has demonstrated a remarkable conversion rate. Of his 2 La Liga goals, one was a powerful header from a corner, showcasing his aerial ability, and the other was a cross shot after a diagonal run, highlighting his positional intelligence. Additionally, his defensive contribution is not negligible. He presses high and wins the ball back, aligning with the philosophy of intensity that Hansi Flick has instilled at Barça since his arrival. Scouting experts, such as those at Transfermarkt, currently value Young at around €3 million, but his potential could multiply this value in just a few years. In Africa, where Cameroonian football has a tradition of exporting elite strikers, think Eto'o, Abubakar, or even the young Mokoko, Young is seen as the next in line. His national team has already called him up for the under-23 squad, and it wouldn't be surprising to see him make his debut with the indomitable Lions soon, which would increase his exposure and value. For Barça, which has historically succeeded with African players like Yaya Touré or Eto'o himself, Young represents a continuation of this lineage of global talent. In the context of Flick's project, this signing adds depth to an attack that, while powerful, needs rejuvenation. Lewandowski, at 37, remains formidable, but his contract expires in 2026, and the club doesn't want to repeat past mistakes by leaving a void without a solution. Young isn't an immediate replacement, but he's a viable mid-term option. Imagine a future trident with Yamal on the right, Young in the center, and a revitalized Ansu Fati on the left. Speed, creativity, and pure goal-scoring ability. Flick, who at Bayern bet on young talents like Musiala, would see Young in a similar mold, raw, but with a very high ceiling. The fanbase, always hungry for news that fuels hope, has welcomed this possibility with a mix of enthusiasm and curiosity. On Kuel forums and podcasts, there's debate over whether Yang is the new Eto'o or simply a low-risk bet. Some highlight his goal against Oviedo in the 25-26 La Liga season, where he controlled a long ball, dribbled past two defenders, and finished calmly, as proof of his maturity. Others, more cautious, remind us that the leap to Barça is enormous, and many talents have been lost along the way. But that's the beauty of football, the uncertainty that keeps the passion alive. Deco, for his part, isn't acting alone. His team of scouts has monitored Yang for months, analyzing videos, performance data, and even psychological reports. It's a meticulous process that includes assessments of his cultural adaptation. Yang is fluent in French, English, and Spanish, and his work ethic, according to sources, is impeccable. No oversized ego here. Yang is humble, focused on improvement, and this aligns with the values of post-Messi Barça, where the collective takes precedence over individuality. Another key aspect is the long-term economic impact. 5 million euros now could translate to 50 million euros or more if Yang explodes onto the scene. Barça has learned from missed sales opportunities like Arturo Vidal's, which hurt, but also from successes like PEDRI, who was recruited for a modest fee and is now an undisputed pillar. Yang falls into this category of low cost and high potential, and with financial fair play looming, Deco prioritizes these types of operations over big-name signings that unbalance the books. At Villarreal, Yang's possible departure has sparked internal debate. Marcelino sees him as a valuable resource for rotation, but the club knows that holding on to him against his will could hinder his progress. Moreover, with the release clause activated, there isn't much room for maneuver. Villarreal has invested in its youth academy, and seeing Yang leave is bittersweet, but the €5 million will help finance new prospects. For Yang, this opportunity is a dream. Growing up admiring Eto'o and now having the chance to follow in his footsteps at Barça must be incredibly motivating. Sources indicate that he is open to the loan to Betis, seeing it as a platform to prove his worth. His agent, discreet but effective, has facilitated negotiations, ensuring the player prioritizes development over immediate glory. Flick, while focused on the day-to-day, has been informed and approves of the profile. During analysis sessions, the technical staff has highlighted how Yang could fit into his 4-2-3-1 system, adding depth to the attack. It's no surprise that Barça is looking for versatile forwards. With injuries like Ferran's recent one, depth is crucial. The Cameroonian press is already celebrating him as a milestone, recalling how players like Song paved the way. Yang could inspire a new generation, showing that the path from Africa to Europe is built on constant hard work. Within Barca's ecosystem, this operation also affects LAMINE. Although Yang comes from outside, his arrival motivates the youth academy players to compete, reminding them that the club scouts talent globally. Players like Victor Roque, in a similar situation, could be influenced, pushing Deco to manage departures to balance the squad. In the end, this signing embodies the club's resilience. In times of crisis, ingenuity prevails. Yang, with his story of overcoming adversity, symbolizes this. As the transfer window closes, Deco continues to work, and we, the Kuels, remain excited by every detail that emerges.